Wait, so step 1. Right? We have 2 parts. Remember that I should be using rulers, trackers, and stuff so that they would be nice and straight, right? My first one, how far did she go in which direction?
She went all the way.
2.5 kilometers east.
2 kilometers east?
2.5.
Sorry, 2.5?
Yes. What do you got? What kind of range?
Okay, sorry, it should be on that line there, right? We're saying that it's 2.5 to the east. So, this one here doesn't have a y portion to it at all. No, it only has a x portion.
Yep.
Okay, so we have what I'm going to call ax. I'm going to call that our first vector a. Okay, so we know our ax, right? Now I'm going to keep red with me so that we can look at the next one to find out what the x and y would be. Alright? This one here is 7 kilometers and it's going south 21 degrees east. So, southeast is this direction here. Alright? Now, is this one going to have a horizontal or x axis and a y axis? That both. So we have an x axis because it's going this way. So I'm going to call this vector b. But I'm also going to have a y vector, this one here, and I'm going to call it b as well, but I'm going to say by. Alright? Now, what is my number for this? What do we have to do? Let's do Pythagorean theorem, but I'm going to say, what is my, when we talk about south 21 degrees east, what else do I need to know? 270 plus 21. So 270 plus 21 is what?
291.
Okay. It's 291. Okay, remember these should be degrees, right? Okay, so we figured that out, right? So now we're going to look at step 2. Are we all done here?
So we write down the solution or what?
I finished that. Step 2.
It doesn't right now. What's wrong with us?
Okay, so we're going to use our trig functions for this. When we have ax, bx, and by, how do we figure that out? What is our trig function for that? How do we figure out the distance of it? How do we do that?
For that one?
Yes.
So we're dealing with now, we can use 10.
10, okay, but that's telling me degrees. I don't want degrees. So that we're doing the cos, okay, so what's the rest of it? What's the rest of the equation? 2.5 cos. Okay, so we had to do cos because it's the x-axis, right? Horizontal. We had to put 2.5 because that was the distance that we were told before, and we put the degrees.
Here, talk after class. Teach.
So, I hope you realize that I now have to, every time, I can't leave my voice on here in your questions because you guys keep talking in the background. So you just have to hope that you can follow along with the numbers that I do. Because I can't keep the questions. Like, I think it would be great to have the questions that you have in the background so that you can hear them. But every time you guys get off topic and I listen to it, it doesn't help. So then I get rid of it. So there's no talking at all. That goes for everybody. Unless you actually have a question in it, let's be quiet until I have it paused. question for it?
Close to theta or close to zero?
0, because it was at 0 degrees. Alright, then we have Bx and By. What am I going to do for Bx? Same thing, but what's the numbers? Right
We
here?
got 7 close to 1.
Okay, so 7 is out the distance, and 291, because that's what we figured out. 2.5 is going to be my answer. How do I do the one for the y?
Same thing, but instead of close, you use sign.
Right, so for y we use sine. So 7 sine 291. If we punch that in, we should get negative 6.5. Now is a negative number expected here?
Yes. Yes. Because we're
Why?
going down.
We're going down. Perfect. Okay?
What happened to AY?
AY, because it was strictly east, there was no y aspect to it. Right? So that's a good question. Okay, so we're looking at step 3 then. Step 3, we add the collinear vectors algebraically. We remember what this equation looks like.
Yeah, it's just diagram to
Pythagorean theorem. Alright, so it looks like this.
We just use a squared plus b squared, like is that like this equation, or do you want us to?
Because this one is looking at the x and the y, you should use the x and the y.
Okay.
Okay? I do, because I'm saying it's the sum of all the vector forces in that direction. Okay?
That's what it's next week.
If you're,
We don't have to go next week.
if we were just dealing with a straight east and north, then your a squared plus b squared equals c squared would be the one to use, right? But this one, because we have some x's and some y's, we want to make sure that we're summarizing all of those x's. Okay, so my numbers for x, what did I find for distances, or what were they? 5, because we had 2.5 and 2.5, right?
Yeah.
What did I have for y?
Negative 6.5.
Okay, so as long as I didn't make any mistakes here, we should get 8.2 as an answer.
How to figure it out.
Okay. So remember, this would be 25. That should be 38 or something like that. No, 42.25.
Yeah.
Miscalculated 0.5. Okay, and then you'd have 67.25 square rooted, which should give you about 8.2. Okay? Now, the other thing we need to look at is the fx is a positive number, and the fy is a negative number. Okay? So remember, just looking at this, fx, positive, fy is negative, and therefore found in quadrant 4. Okay, based on those numbers? Well, this here we're saying that the number is positive, and this one here is a negative. Therefore, we're looking to see which quadrant our answer is going to be found in. It'd be a good idea to remind ourselves how we do that.
Found in what?
Quadrant 4.
I got 8.2.
Okay, so now we're on step 4. Here. Step 4 was that Pythagorean theorem to determine the magnitude of the resultant vector. So technically we should have part of that equation is part of step 3, right? So step 3 and 4 we kind of did together. So step 5, we're using the trig one, and what is our equation for this again for our trig? Tan. And we do opposite over adjacent. Okay, so we should have 42.25 over 25. And we should get 59.4 degrees. Any questions with this?
Just let me copy it.
No, it's the four to, there was the four.
That's step 5.
So I said step 4 because we talked about Pythagorean theorem and we had both parts of it. With in step 3 we did kind of 2 as 1.
Now I just wrote down wrong one.
You can just put an arrow to step
Maybe
5.
there's that. I think that there's still.
So you'll be okay.
Okay, so our resultant vector should be what then?
Adjacent.
I'm just gonna write this here.
So,
And it should be still be writing this way, right? But so okay, which
we have a 30.
yeah, you have to check that off. I'm off by a bit. Can someone just double check my math, see if I made a mistake?
Sorry, guys. Yeah, good part.
I'll check too.
As long as all those numbers are right.
Well, you think 20 calculators?
Yeah, so it's negative 6.5.